Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new Pokemon TCG video. So the deck that we're actually going to be taking a look at today is going to revolve around the Blastoise with the Deluge ability. So this ability is very nice in that it allows us to attach as many water energies from our hand to any of our Pokemon during our turn. So it's going to be crucial to get the Blastoise into our bench nice and early. We're probably not really going to use his Hydro Pump attack unless we're facing against a Pyroar type of deck. Mainly you want to keep Blastoise on the bench just as a supporter type Pokemon. So we're ultimately going to be running 3 of him in our deck. We're also going to be running 3 Squirtles, a very specific type though. We are running the Squirtle with the Shell Shield ability. So as long as this Pokemon is in our bench, he'll actually be prevented from taking any sort of bench damage. So Pokemon like Landorus-EX cannot actually target him. So definitely quite nice. So we're going to be running 3 of him, and we're also going to be running just 1 Wartortle. And so we're ultimately running a 3-1-3 line. So we are also going to be running 2 rare candies to hopefully try and evolve our Squirtle into the Blastoise nice and early into the game. So some other cards that we're running as well, guys, is we're going to be running 3 Keldeo-EX with its Russian ability. It's going to be very useful. I mean, as long as we have a Float Stone attached to him, he can rush in. And number 1, provide us with an unlimited number of switches. And number 2, his Secret Sword attack does an initial 50 damage with an additional 20 per water energy that we do have. We're running a lot of water energies in this deck, so this Pokemon has a lot of synergy with the Blastoise EX, so it's going to work very nicely with it. So we are going to be running a total of 3 copies of the Keldeo-EX. And we're also going to be running 2 Suicunes. This is just a strong wall type Pokemon, which is going to give our opponent's EX Pokemon a difficult time. So with its Safeguard ability, preventing our opponent's EX Pokemon from doing any damage to us. And his Aurora Beam attack isn't particularly strong, only does 70 damage, but with a Muscle Band we can up that damage to 90. So he will still be able to get those 2-hit knockouts on our opponent's EX Pokemon. So still nonetheless a very nice Pokemon to have. So we are running 2 copies of him in this deck as well. Some other cards that we have, guys, the Computer Search was the A-Spec card that I ultimately chose to run in this deck, just given the fact that we want to get our setup going nice and early, and I felt that this would be more crucial as opposed to the Dowsing Machine. So I ultimately leaned toward this A-Spec more. I mean, you guys can absolutely use the Dowsing Machine instead, but again, ultimately I felt that this would be a nicer A-Spec card to run. Some other cards, guys, we're going to be running 2 Max Potions. I mean, the one drawback to this is that we are getting rid of all the energy cards attached to our Pokemon, but with the Blastoise Deluge we can go right ahead and pile on the energies once again. And we are also running a total of 4 Superior Energy Retrievals just to allow us to fetch those energies from our discard pile once again, and then use the Blastoise Deluge to attach as many water energy cards from our hand into our Pokemon. So it definitely works quite nice. So Max Potion, definitely a worthwhile card to run, so I ultimately chose to put 2 in our deck, and 4 Superior Energy Retrievals. We're also going to have 1 Professor's Letter. This is just to allow us to look for those energy cards from our deck and bring them into our hand nice and early into the game. So just 1 Professor's Letter, guys. This is definitely going to come in handy early on into the game as opposed to later on. So yeah, so that's why I ultimately chose to run 1 in our deck. 2 Starling Megaphones. Again, this is just to get rid of those pesky Garbodors and their tool attachments, because our deck, pretty much every single one of our Pokemon actually does have special abilities. So and we are rather reliant on our Blastoise with its Deluge ability. So Starling Megaphone definitely going to come in handy. So we are going to run 2 copies of this in our deck, and some other cards that I've definitely discussed way too many times, so I'm not really going to go over them. So we're going to be running 4 Ultra Balls, 2 VS Seekers, 2 Colress as a supporter type draw type supporter card, 4 Ents as another draw type supporter card, and 4 Junipers. We're also going to be running 2 Lysanders to lure out our Pokemon's benched Pokemon in case we want to get those knockouts or anything like that, and 2 Skylas. The Float Stone are going to be used in combination with our Keldeo-EX just so that we can rush in and switch in between our Pokemon. So it definitely works very nice. So we are going to be running 2 copies of this in our deck. We're also going to be running 2 Muscle Bands. This is most likely going to be attached to our Suicune just to help him dish out that extra damage. And we're also running a total of 12 Water Energies. So that is the basic deck breakdown, guys. So with being said, let's go right ahead and find ourselves an opponent. Is this deck competitive? I don't know, but I'm really trying to make it work. I have been playing with it quite a few times, and I've been making a lot of changes, and I ultimately felt that this should sort of be the final draft for it. So really hoping that this deck does perform well. Unfortunately, without the Tropical Beach Stadium card, this deck has lost a lot of its power, so I'm really trying to make it work regardless, just because it's a very enjoyable deck. And as soon as we actually do have our Blastoise line set up, things should go relatively smoothly for us. Also, another thing that I do want to mention, guys, is that our Pokemon are unfortunately all very weak to grass type Pokemon, so unfortunately we're at the mercy of Verzian EX, Genesect EX type decks. There's nothing much we can really do about that. Most likely it's going to be an auto loss. I mean, Suicune can absolutely be a little bit troubling for our opponent's Genesect EX, Verzian EX deck to deal with, but unfortunately there's nothing else we can really do. So let's go right ahead and use the Ultra Ball to get rid of a Colress and a Superior Energy Retrieval, and grab ourselves out a Suicune. And I think I'm gonna go right ahead and attach a Muscle Band to our Keldeo-EX. Yeah, I actually think I'm gonna go right ahead and do that and use the Professor Juniper for a new set of cards at hand. And awesome, looks like we actually do have another Keldeo-EX as well. Not gonna place the Float Stone just yet in case we do get Sterling Megaphone. And with that being said, guys, let's go right ahead and end our turn. Looks like our opponent is running an Yveltal EX type deck with some unusual Pokemon. Really haven't seen a lot of players use Regigigas or this Sableye in particular. Not a good Sableye by any means. The other one was very, very good, but it did get rotated. But our opponent is running an unusual deck. I'm probably gonna have to end on our turn just so that we can grab out our War Turtle, or hopefully a rare candy and a Blastoise, because again, it's very crucial that we do get this Squirtle evolved nice and early, just so that we can use the deck to the best of our abilities. Looks like our opponent is running a Garbodor, so I'm probably gonna have to get rid of him, just because it's not going to allow us to use our Deluge ability. We do have the Sterling Megaphone as well, so that's kind of nice. I'm probably going to rush in with this Keldeo-EX for the time being, just so that our opponent's Yveltal EX doesn't dish out a lot of damage to us. So let's go right ahead and evolve our Squirtle, place down a Suicune. Not gonna use the Sterling Megaphone just yet, and let's go and use the Professor's Letter to grab 2 Water Energies. Gonna rush in with our Keldeo-EX and place a Water Energy to our bench Keldeo-EX, and with that, guys, let's go right ahead and end our turn. I'm probably going to use the Float Stone. Well, actually, I don't necessarily need it. I mean, I can just rush in with this Keldeo-EX as well. So, not particularly troubling for us. Looks like our opponent is going to lure us out with his Lysander and hit our Keldeo-EX for 100 damage. So, unfortunately, we do not have the Blastoise ready to go. So, I can't use his Deluge ability just yet. I'm actually going to go right ahead and bring out the Suicune for now. Yeah, and let's go right ahead and use the Starling Megaphone to get rid of that tool attachment, and let's go and bring out our Suicune, which our opponent will not be able to deal any damage with, and unfortunately end our turn. Really hoping to grab the Blastoise, guys, because as soon as we do have it going, we'll be able to make the most out of our max push and things like that. Hopefully we're able to get some sort of draw supporter card on our turn, and a Juniper, just something like that. That Trubbish is definitely going to be a little bit of trouble for us once he does evolve into the Garbodor, so hopefully I can get rid of him nice and early as well. Looks like our opponent's going to end us, and definitely a good end for us. We were able to grab the Blastoise with the Deluge ability and another Starling Megaphone in case our opponent does decide to power up his Trubbish. So I'm absolutely going to try and get our Suicune powered up, guys, and hopefully take care of those Yveltals nice and early. And it looks like our opponent is going to try and start powering up his Regigigas. So I'm assuming that's pretty much the reason why our opponent is actually running Regigigas in his deck, probably to deal with our Safeguard type Pokemon. But again, I'm not sure why he's not dealing. He's not actually using the sorry, I'm trying to think right now, the regular Yveltal instead. I mean, kind of unusual, but heck, I can't really say anything about it. So let's go right ahead and attach some more Water Energies to our bench Keldeo-EX, and then I'm gonna go and end for a new set of cards in our hand. Or should I actually use the Colress? Trying to think right now. I could get rid of the Trubbish as well. I think that would actually be the wiser option. So let's go right ahead and use the VS Seeker, grab ourselves out a Lysander, and get rid of that Trubbish, and draw ourselves one prize card. Probably going to have to end on our next turn. And okay, so it looks like our opponent is going to bring out the Regigigas. Hopefully I can get rid of him as well. He's going to deal out 80 damage to us, but as long as our opponent doesn't have the Muscle Band, our Pokemon will be able to survive, so that'll be quite nice. So hopefully I can draw onto a max potion or something like that as well. Definitely going to have to end most likely on our next turn and see what we can do from there. And looks like our opponent's going to grab out the VS Seeker, possibly the Lysander, I'm guessing, to get rid of our Keldeo-EX on the bench. And am I right? And yes, looks like I was right. So he is going to be able to draw 2 prize cards. But I feel like our opponent doesn't necessarily have his priorities straight. It would have been more crucial for him to get rid of the Suicune, in my opinion, or possibly the Blastoise, as opposed to just drawing those 2 prize cards. But we'll see how things go. So let's go right ahead and use the Deluge to attach a Water Energy to our Keldeo-EX. Hopefully I can get rid of that Regigigas on our next turn. And let's go and end for a new set of cards in hand. So, okay, so 90 damage, so I would be able to perform the one-hit knockout if I have 4 energies. I mean, that Yveltal-EX may also knock us out as well, but I think I'm going to go right ahead and do that regardless, just because I do want to get rid of that Regigigas. Hopefully our opponent is not able to knock out our Keldeo-EX on our turn, and we can retreat him and then start attacking with the Suicune. But for now, let's go right ahead and get rid of that Regigigas and draw 1 prize card. So our deck's definitely running relatively smoothly right now, but again, those Yveltal-EXs are definitely quite troubling for us, just because they can deal out a lot of damage as well, just because of his Evil Ball attack. So hopefully our Suicune does not get knocked out this turn. Is our opponent grabbing another? Okay, he looks like he's actually grabbing an N for now. So we're going to get some new cards in our hand, and kind of nice. We do have the Superior Energy Retrieval, but we actually don't have much energies in our discard pile as just yet, so I'm not going to use that. I think we should be able to survive with 10 HP, and yes, okay, beautiful. So I'm absolutely going to retreat that and bring out our Suicune. Let's see, just trying to think what we should do right now, guys. So definitely going to have to retreat this and bring out the Suicune. Skyla, I'm actually going to use it to draw a draw supporter type card. Probably a Juniper I think would be a wise option. Or should I actually max potion off our Keldeo-EX? You know what, guys, I'm actually going to go right ahead and grab the max potion and use that to completely heal our Keldeo-EX, and then use the Superior Energy Retrieval to look for some water energies once again. Or should I not? You know what, I'm actually not going to use the Superior Energy Retrieval just yet. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's crucial that we actually do get any energies attached to him. Just gonna attach 1 water energy to him for the time being, and let's go right ahead and hit our opponent's Yveltal-EX for only 70 damage, but that's okay. He can't do any damage to us, and even if he were to lure any of our bench Pokemon, he would not be able to perform a one-hit knockout. Hopefully we are able to grab onto another Lysander or something like that and get rid of that Garbodor before he gets before he becomes a troubling Pokemon for us to deal with. Our opponent's gonna lure out our Blastoise, but luckily the Keldeo-EX is very useful in that we can rush in and then rush out again, so definitely going to work in our favor. Okay, so I'm absolutely going to go right ahead and get rid of that Yveltal-EX on this turn. So let's go and use the Superior Energy Retrieval and grab 4 water energies. So our opponent's Blastoise EX has 100 damage. So I'm just going to need 3 energies attached to our Keldeo-EX. So let's go right ahead and start piling on some energies to him. And then I'm going to go and attach 2 water energies to our Blastoise as well for now, I guess. Don't necessarily want to discard our energies just yet. And then let's use the Professor Juniper for a new set of cards at hand. Awesome, looks like we do have the Starling Megaphone. Not gonna play it yet until the Garbodor actually has an attachment to him. So let's go right ahead and rush in with our Keldeo-EX and perform the one-hit knockout on our opponent's Yveltal-EX and draw 2 prize cards. So as you guys can see right now, our deck seems to be performing quite nicely, especially against an Yveltal-EX deck. So I'm definitely very happy about that. Our Starling Megaphones have definitely been coming handy with respects to dealing with the Garbodors. Not sure why he didn't actually attach the Sparkling Robe to his Garbodor and nullify our Pokemon special abilities, but heck, I can't really say anything much about that. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go right ahead and use the VS Seeker for the Lysander. Probably gonna, let's see if I actually have enough water energies in our discard pile to perform a one-hit knockout. 110 damage. No, unfortunately we are lacking a little bit, but yeah, we are lacking, unfortunately. But you know what, I'm actually, no, let's just go right ahead and perform the knockout on our opponent's Keldeo-EX. I'm not going to use any of our supporter cards just yet. I mean, we have a lot of nice cards in our hand. So let's go and get rid of that Sableye and draw a prize card. Probably going to Lysander out our opponent's Garbodor on the next turn for the win. And yeah, so I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys sort of play around with this deck. Definitely a fun deck to use, but again, with the Tropical Beach supporter card no longer being in play, I'm not really sure how competitive this deck is. And okay, so it looks like we are going to win this game. So yeah, so that's pretty much it, guys. If you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and let's see what we got. Nothing particularly good, so I will see you guys next time. Thank you guys very much for watching.